Hi, I'm Dani Wootton, Time Team's community archaeologist and find specialist. Now, with the recent release of the historical epic film The Northman, we thought it might be nice to take a look at all things Viking. But just before we get started, please do click the like button, press that notification bell to receive all the latest updates, and do consider joining us over on our Patreon channel. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at the world of the Vikings. So who were the Vikings? Well, they were a group of people that lived about 1,000 years ago, roughly between the years 750 to 1100 AD. So they were around for about 300 to 350 years. They originally came from Scandinavia. Their homelands were in the countries that today we refer to as Norway, Sweden and Denmark. So the term Viking comes from the Old Norse word vikingur, and this eventually came to mean something like to go looting or to go pirating or to be a looter or to be a pirate. It certainly isn't something that people living at the time would have referred to themselves as a whole. In fact, it's just become a convenient phrase for archaeologists to use. Contemporary sources at the time in Dublin, Ireland, you get Ostmen, so people referring to people from the east, or you get Danes or Norsemen or Northmen, meaning people from the north. The Vikings did do a lot of raiding. Perhaps one of the most famous of these was in 793 when they attacked the monastery at LINDISFARNE in northeast England. But not all Vikings went on raids. They were seafarers and navigators, boat builders and explorers, and they used these skills to settle and to farm in new lands and to trade. And it's amazing how far the Norse people travelled. Not only did they settle in places like York in England, Dublin in Ireland, the Scottish Islands, northern France, where they eventually became the Normans, Iceland and Greenland, they even travelled as far west as the eastern coast of North America, where they settled very briefly on the island of Newfoundland in Canada. And they were also in the Mediterranean and in Alexandria in Egypt and also to the east. There's a great runestone that was discovered in Sweden. Unfortunately, we now only have the illustration of it, but the description reads, Ingerun, Hadur's daughter, had these runes carved for herself. She wants to travel east and abroad to Jerusalem. Fotur carved these runes. And the Vikings really did go east. They navigated vast rivers to reach places like the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, and then on to the great cities of Baghdad and Constantinople. In 1996, in Roskilde in Denmark at the Viking Ship Museum, they made an amazing discovery. It's a longship, the longest longship ever discovered, 36 metres in length, which is roughly, if you imagine, 3 double-decker buses all end to end. And then you've got to imagine there would have been a mast and a huge sail. So this ship would have looked absolutely formidable. There's space for 39 oars, meaning there would have been 78 rowers on board this ship, plus a few more for steering and so on and so forth. So they reckon that it held about 100 people. And the wonderful thing about this is they've been able to do scientific analysis, dendrochronology, and examine the timber. And they've dated it to around 1025, but also been able to tell that it was made in Oslo in Norway. It then sailed across the Baltic because there were repairs on it. And these repairs have been dated to 1039, somewhere in the Baltic. And then we know, obviously, it sailed back from the Baltic and made its way to Roskilde in Denmark. Amazing to be able to see, to track that ship's journey. With our new episodes now available, we're already busy preparing for this year's digs, and there's a range of intriguing sites in contention. To have your input, join us for site wrestles, Q&As and polls on Patreon. So one popular misconception is that Vikings wore horned helmets. In fact, actually, there's only ever been about 6 Viking helmets discovered, and none of them had horns. It's actually quite a modern idea dating back to 1876 and a performance of Wagner's Ring Cycle, where the costume designer Carl Emil Doppler decided it would be a nice idea to put the performers in horned helmets. Many people will be familiar with Bluetooth technology and the Bluetooth logo. It's on mobile phones and devices all around the world. But the Bluetooth logo is actually made up of two runes, or Scandinavian letters, that stand for H and B, and they've been combined together into what we call a bind rune, so that you get the symbol that we see on Bluetooth technology. HB actually stands for Harald Bluetooth, and he was a very famous Danish king, King Harald Gormson, who ruled for about 30 years between 958 and 986. And he was famous for uniting the Danes and also converting them to Christianity. And when it came to trying to find a name to patent for this new technology, it was the engineer Jim Karduk of Intel who proposed that name Bluetooth, because he saw a good analogy in what Harald Bluetooth had done in uniting the Danes and what this new technology did in uniting and connecting different devices together. Well, we've barely scratched the surface. Early medieval Scandinavian history and archaeology is a vast subject area, and it's not possible to cover it all here. There are some great books out there on the Vikings, including Dr. Kat Jarman's book River Kings, a new history of the Vikings from Scandinavia to the Silk Roads, and also Professor Neil Price's book, A History of the Vikings, Children of Ash and Elm. And Neil Price is currently leading a research project at the University of Uppsala in Sweden called The Viking Phenomenon. Have a look at their website. There's lots of interesting information, including links to some research papers on some fascinating subjects. Or even if you'd like to have a go at learning Old Norse yourself, check out Jackson Crawford's website and YouTube channel. A reminder that there's a range of original Time Team episodes available worldwide on our Time Team Classics channel on YouTube. We're currently delving into Series 18 every Sunday. Well, I hope you enjoyed that and it's inspired you to find out more about the Viking world. Please do remember to click that like button, press the notification bell and consider joining us on Patreon. Well, that's all from me from now, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
With you again by our sides, we're aiming for at least 2 more headline Time Team digs later this year, and perhaps even more.